what would we finish that for
Yeah.
me? You know, but that's, people, like, that could be two faults. That could be one that he was genuinely hungry, or he just didn't want to go down that path. It's really hard for people to answer the questions that you're asking. I mean, you're asking really hard questions about what shapes people's lives. Did anyone cry when you were doing your interview? No tears? You're not doing your job. No, just kidding. Who did? You started crying. What questions made that happen? So that would be a very delicate
Guys, you
moment.
need to hang in there,
So
please.
this student was talking about his mother getting very emotional when she talked about her father dying. And that is a very hard conversation to go through, and you probably are going to want to quote her on that. And you would probably say, you know, becomes emotional or becomes teary when remembering her father, his name, who died at the age of blank in this year. Okay? So the thing about journalism, and then I will stop talking, is you want to nail it as close to the bone as possible. Details, details, details. What does the room look like? What does the person look like? What did they seem like?
And also, now that you have your first interview, or many of you do, when you go back into that interview and you listen to it and you look at the notes that you've taken, like, you might be able to come up with some questions based on those pieces of information that you might need more information on. Like,
Right.
you know, Zach's just talking about his mother's father. Well, you know, he might not know what year that was or how old he was or what his name, you know, blah, blah, blah. So you'd go back and get those kinds of pieces of information. So make sure you're always, the more information you have, the better. Most students, even though I've always said there's kind of a limit on this paper, most students have trouble staying in the limit because there's so much information that they have to write down, which is why for many people this becomes a 10-page paper.
And also, I think I said this in the beginning, but I want to reiterate this because you're not going to hear from me again until I say a few words at your final project. This started when my son was in 8th grade, and he's 25 years old, and the story that he wrote about my mother and the information he found out about my mom, who's no longer alive in this world, who knows where else people go, is so important to us as a family. I can't even tell you. And it's not even online. It was before this online proliferation, but I have this paper copy of Theodore Anthony's 8th grade project, and it means everything to us. So what you're doing is preserving somebody's story for a person that might not live forever, or really, well, none of us live forever. But so pay attention to it and give it your all. Okay, guys, and thank you for letting me.
The other thing, too, guys, I just want to say, shh, just hold on. Guys, we still have 15 minutes of the day left, so you can just chill out for a minute. The other thing, make sure that you ask them for some pictures. Okay? You do need a title. Guys, don't move. You've got nowhere to go.
Yeah, okay, thank you.
So just stop.
A headline is good.
Okay, so you need some sort of title, some sort of headline, but you need pictures. Okay, on biography night, when we share these, we will actually be projecting the picture of this individual, and you know, your cover page usually is what we project as you share a piece from your actual biography. So just make sure that that's something that you touch on with your subject so that you can get that information. Okay? Yes.
Do they have to like go to the biography night thing?
Yes,
And,
you
like,
should.
What time is it?
It is 7 o'clock, and yes, you should invite them.
And when is it, Keely? It's on a Tuesday, right?
It's like February 12th or something. Yeah.
Okay.
Yes, Michael Burke.
What if the person I'm interviewing either lives in California or is moving to like the Middle East?
But you did it in person to begin with, right?
Yeah.
When is, oh, well, then he won't be able to come, maybe.
Yeah.
But if you need a second interview, you better get it while they're in town.
Yeah, I already did it.
And also, if for some reason, listen up, you can't do your second interview in
Guys.
person. I mean, I think a Skype second interview would be fine, don't you?
Yeah.
Keely? I mean, if you can't do it in person, but just know that, you know, what you said is so smart. You can never have too much information. You know the expression TMI? There's never TMI for a journalist. You know, you need a lot of information.
Did you have a question? Who was that? Sloan?
Someone else have
Do you have a question?
before I go home?
Did you have a question? Shh, guys, stop.
Had to be what?
In person? It should be.
Yeah.
It's your secondary interview, which means the other people that you're talking to that does not have to be in person.
But you want to spend 2 times with this person.
Yeah.
You want to see them in a variety of situations.
Mhm.
Yes.
What if we like, should we be like trying to see them in different places? Like, if I just see this person, if I just interview him like after hours at the gym, then should I like interview him at like, I don't know, like outside of the gym?
Why don't you get what you can, okay? Just get what you can.
Does it matter on where the interview takes place?
It doesn't matter where the interview takes place. Ideally, in a perfect world, you get the person in 2 different situations. I usually like to get home and office, but I just take what I can get. As I said, some of my best interviews have been in a cab going to Dulles Airport with people who say they're too busy to talk to me. And when someone says, I'm too busy to talk to you, I say, what are you busy doing? I'll come with you. And sometimes they say, well, I'm taking a cab to the airport. You know, Sarah, I'll take you to the airport. I know you can't drive here. But you can do this. And the other thing I could share is just to be brave in your questions. Like sometimes in my younger years, I'd be afraid to ask a question. Like, tell me about the hardest thing, the biggest challenge in your life. I'd be really afraid to ask that. Don't be afraid. Any question is okay as long as it's presented in a polite way and it's not antagonistic. And as I shared with Craig, just be honest if you're feeling uncomfortable because it's a relative and you're asking kind of